Hello, everyone. This is Renee Piane, and this is Get Real About Love. And since Valentine's Day is coming, I have gathered some people that are in my life that are very special. A couple that it has 25 years of love. So I thought it would be really fun to bring inspiring stories about couples that have made it through not only COVID, but 25 years of marriage. And they are amazing people. They're leaders in their communities individually and as a couple. And I met them over 27 years ago. How many? 1994. We met in 1994. So before I talk about how we met, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Donnie now. He's the vice president of the Users Interface Group Creative Production Services at Warner Brothers. And Paige is an eco-vegan co-host of a show called Plant-Based in the Burbs. And she is all over Clubhouse, all over the internet, helping people to turn vegan, which I probably need to learn because I just don't cook like you do. I just don't. But I'm not only inspired by what you've done in the world. You have two beautiful children, which you will be seeing on the banner, them as little children that are now grown up. So you have been married 25 years. So I want to introduce you to everybody around the world who can know you. So hi, Paige and Donnie. This is Paige and Donnie Roach. So tell me what has been going on all these years. We've been friends for a long time, and I want to hear, people want to hear your original love story about how you met, and then maybe we can give them some tips on how you've stayed together for 25 years. That's really amazing. It's really amazing. So let's start with you, Paige. Why don't you start?
Well, it was a beautiful sunny day, and I walked into a workshop about basically self-improvement, communication, diving deep into your own, identity and to learn more. And I was in my 20s and, bebopping in with a short skirt and sass. And I guess I caught the eye of this man, so we'll talk about that a little bit. And then we had a moment together. It was a all day workshop, and I looked in his blue eyes, and I don't know if you can see them now, but and there was some tears, and I just felt like, gosh, this guy's special. There's something special about him, and yeah, that was
if I may, I was assisting in that workshop. So Paige came in as a participant, and I was helping out, and she was coming in. People were getting their paperwork done, and it was like, oh, can we get an assistant over here to help so and so with their paperwork? And I remember seeing Paige walk in, and I was like, wow, she's cute.
So there was like an instant attraction for you both, but separately at that moment, right?
Yeah.
So did you kind of like wedge your way in so that you could be with her working in the fit? That's what I'm thinking.
Paige didn't have the paperwork. Is there anybody available to help her? And I'm like, yeah, I'll help her. So right at the beginning of her day, before the workshop even began, we had this little moment, where I kind of helped her out with some paperwork, and then throughout the course of the workshop, there were several opportunities to work in teams or work in pairs, and we kept kind of coming together, and then over the course of it wound up being a 3-month workshop that I assisted in, and she was participating in, and I ended up being her coach. She was one of the participants on my team, so we formed a good relationship there. But true to the rules of the workshop, we didn't date at all during the workshop. But shortly thereafter,
we talked on the phone a lot. We got to know each other.
We did.
And we both had relationships going in, so we had integrity. We were not thinking we were going to forward our relationship or anything. But I wasn't even thinking
both of those relationships ended during the course of the workshop.
Not because of each other.
No, it had nothing to do with that.
We knew it was time
to conclusion. Yeah.
Conclude those relationships. And then
like Harry met Sally with you guys talking. It's so cute. So now I ran into you guys. Now, when was it that you merged into doing your project for that group? You came up with a project that was something you were doing and I kind of was doing at the same time. And that's how we met on the street doing camera work about good things that were happening in the city. So what was the original project that you guys were doing? What was it? Do you remember?
I feel like it was called, I felt like it was always called Good News Network, but so I don't know if it had that name before we met you, or that came to be after we teamed up with you, because we had this mutual friend, Steve, that I was in the workshop. He and I did it together, and we decided to partner up on our project. And then Paige came along, and she was also interested in media, and so it's like that fit very well. And
Todd,
Todd,
who was in the workshop with
Todd was in the workshop with you.
Me.
So it was like, it was all, and then Steve met you, and I remember him calling me and said, I met this amazing woman. She's like got so much energy and spark. You're going to love her. She wants to do just what we're doing. Let's partner up with her. And I was like,
well, I was doing Love Works at the time, and it was about relationships, and I was interviewing all these cool people. And then I decided that everything that I was doing, every event, community connecting events, I was going to deal with a charity. And I was bringing people on my show that were doing good too. So it was like we were aligned right from the start. And then we met and we hit it off. And I remember Donnie was our editor and camera. We had this really fun group. And then Paige was like a little leery about me because I think I was dating somebody at the time, but I mean, it was, you guys weren't like officially, I don't know what was going on, but I loved her too, So what did you think was going on between us? I think you thought something was happening, but we just liked each other a lot.
Awfully adorable. And I had no idea. And, Donnie was available. I mean, we hadn't made an exclusive agreement yet. So, any cutie could have been up for grabs,
Well, I wanted, when I met you, I just thought you were so beautiful. And here it is. This was our mission statement. We got together, and this is how people make magic in the world is we put together a team, we made a mission statement, and we went out every week and reported on the good news around the city. And of course, we got copied by NBC, right? Here we were for how many years? I think it was like 3 or 4 years we did it, and we tried to sell it, and it was the most extraordinary experience. And then I got to watch the expanding relationship of you two. And I know Donnie had gone through a marriage and went through a divorce. So what happened when there was the little glitch, during that time? How did that all play out? Do you remember?
Well, you're talking about probably the glitch early in our not early in our relationship, but I get kind of the commitment crossroads, if you will.
Right. Yeah, that's a good word. I like that. The commitment crossroads. Yes.
Yeah, well, you should probably tell that. I mean, it's true. I had been married. It was short-lived. I had been married once before, but I was very hesitant about commitment, again, and I had been with my first wife for well over a year before we were closer to, and the marriage lasted all of a year and a half. So I was like, wow, I guess you have to be with somebody for 4 or 5 years before if it's right, and so that was kind of where my mindset was at. Like, well, I'll just date forever before I make any kind of long-term commitment again. I think Paige was in a slightly different space than that.
Well, so. I mean, I guess, and my pattern was if I wasn't certain, then it was, let's take a break. And then I was going to date more guys, and that was going to give me the answer. And I ended up getting coaching from you and another friend of mine, and who was working with Pat Allen. And, the idea was actually, if you're committed to this guy, you want to say you love him, and you're going to give him some space. And leave the relationship to both of you being in choice of the relationship.
Sure. Yeah.
And you and I had talked about it, Renee. I was like, you're like, great, we can go out and go out on the phone, let's go. And the coaching was for me to go home and take baths after my long day of work, to go to Agape, and continue my spiritual journey, read books on Marianne Williamson, dive in deep to who I was, and wait 8 weeks. And after 8 weeks, you'll know. And then that's where you come in again, because, well, you, Renee, I remember one night I called you and I said, I don't know, I feel like I need to call him. And you
getting ready to cave. She was getting ready to cave. And she's like, I miss him so much, and I don't know what to do. And she was crying, and I'm like, don't call him. So we did this like meditation thing to send love. I just remember because he was down the 405 off Sherman Way. I forget the name of the road, but we kind of took a journey where you saw yourself sending him this love light, I was calling it, through the freeway into his heart or something. And it was very powerful. I just remember that night. And you were like, whoa. And I said, these kind of things really do work. I mean, it's like in Reiki, I'm a Reiki master person, and I was doing a lot of healing on people from a distance. And I would say, and they'd say, oh my God, I could feel it. And I knew that your love was strong enough for you to be able to send that love to him, like separately, but he would feel it. And apparently something happened. So what happened on your end, Donnie? Did you actually feel something or a surge of something coming over you?
It was the night I was at the
You
Hollywood
were at
Bowl
the
with some
Hollywood
friends.
Bowl. Yes, you were.
Yeah, I can't say I felt something specific, but I too was having conversations. And I just remember in my discussion with my friends that I was at the Hollywood Bowl with, I came to the decision, like, I'm going to commit to this. Okay, it's been long enough. I've thought about it. I went through my own process of, yes or no, stay or don't stay. And what does that look like? What do I feel more comfortable with? And so I made a decision that night. I think I said, and I think I did send you a dozen roses the next day.
The next day.
I said, I'm gonna send her roses in the morning, and I wrote a note that said something like, let's talk, I'm ready to commit, or I love you, or I don't know what, I can't remember what the exact word.
I remember her calling me freaked out though. She was like, oh my God, he sent me roses, it worked. And I was like, whoa,
In the last 8 weeks.
No,
I mean, you said give it 8 weeks.
3.5 or something.
I was gonna say about 4 weeks. Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't remember, but you waited 4 weeks. I just remember you were excited though. You were excited that you heard from him, and then you kind of made him suffer a little. Just a little.
And it really, I don't know. I felt like it gave both of us an opportunity to choose. To really choose freely, like to say, like, yes, Donnie, I could have a life, create a life. I want that. I'm committed to that. And be committed and unattached, and just stand in, and I'll know, and I'll have to learn to let go. I knew I started really thinking about life, like what it would be like without him. And that was what made me sad. When I thought about a life with him, I was like, he wants children. He loves family. He's a commitment guy. He's dedicated. He's caring. He's a rock. He's all the things that has shown up in our relationship he's been for the past 28 years. I keep going to my heart because this is my 25th wedding anniversary gift. This beautiful heart.
Oh, well, we love hearts. We do love hearts. And that's beautiful. That's such a beautiful story. I know so many people have division. One of the things that I notice in my work, and it's really an NLP terminology that's called parts integration. So Donnie had that. He had one part of him that wanted you and love, and then the other part, like, oh, is it going to be what I got stuck in before? My own husband Joe had that when I met him. And I just kept saying to him, but I know I'm going to marry you, so you just might as well get used to it, But it took him some time to unwind. So I did give him time and space to expand into the possibility of getting married for the third time. So he always says, this is wife number 3. So, like when, I went to I remember the first time I walked into, it was unfortunately a funeral service for someone in his family. Everyone was waiting, to see who the new girl was, So Joe came, I came in and everyone was checking me out, and I go, yes, I'm wife number 3, and everybody laughed. So there is a lot of fear in the world right now about love, and there's a lot of people lonely that wish that they could find love. And so what would you say from your perspective, now that you've been married for 25 years, that you could share with other people about taking that jump, into love? What would you say?
Well, I don't know. You go, because I think I might need to mull on this a little bit. So, yeah.
Well, what were you going to say before, and then we could answer that?
Oh, I was just commenting on Renee saying wife number 3. I was going to say I like to refer to Paige as wife number 1. She just came chronologically second, but she's wife.
Oh, now that is a good way to look at it. I really like that. I always say I'm his favorite wife. His his second wife wouldn't want to hear that. And I don't think the mother of his child would want to hear that either. But they're both very nice women. And we all met, unfortunately, at Joe's mother's funeral. And we were calling it the Three Wives Club. So it was kind of hysterical, going through a receiving line and like, hey, we're all Joe's wives, except I'm the current one. So we were all laughing. So I like to make, I like to give people inspiration that have been divorced to know that people will marry again, but you can't pressure them. And I think that that's the gift that Paige gave to you, was not to say, well, if we're not going to do that, like she didn't make demands, she just let you go to think about it and held the space for you to grow through your fear.
But see, that is what I had to move through, because when she first said it, even though she said it just like you just said, like we're in different spaces, I'm going to give you some space, kind of end this relationship here, and for me, I heard it like ultimatum. So I walked away from that discussion very angry. So that's part of the reason it took 4 weeks, because I had to get past that moment first, and then kind of a similar thought process as what Paige had, looking at what my life would look like without her, which made me very sad, and looking at what my life would look like with her and what the future holds. And that lit me up, and it was like, well, okay, it's kind of clear then if you look at it that way. So, you just kind of you discover your heart's true desire, if you try to imagine the two journeys,
I mean, but so many people come divided to me, and I'm like, okay, what is it that made you divided? And that's what most people like do go through breakups or sad divorces need to learn, is that, that one person in that one situation isn't everyone in the universe. And as long as you're really clear on who you are and your distinctions of what you want in a marriage, and you can articulate those. And a lot of people just go, I'm done. And I'm like, wow, there's millions of people to love. And then when you do find it, it's been 20 years now for us. And it's just so extraordinary that we've been together all this time, and we were 3,000 miles away apart, when we met. So anything is possible. So it's just, you are what it takes to show people that love can last, and love does exist even when there's fear in the beginning, That's
exactly what I was going to say. That's the fear talking, when people say I'm done and I don't want to do this again. It's, it was heartbreaking to go through it once, and so I was afraid of having that might happen again, so you do got to move beyond the fear, because it's worth it, because
well,
were you, I guess, scared that he wouldn't come back? Or were you really like, did you go through like half of you were scared and the other half was like, I'm going to wait. I know, that I'm going to hold my stand for what I want.
What I had to face, which we've also had to face with our children, is the idea that you could lose someone, and just facing that helps so much, because if you live in the fear you're going to lose someone, I feel that puts so much pressure on your own self and can make you sick. So for me at that time, I literally thought about, without Donnie, I didn't focus on it, but I faced that, like, okay, wow, I'm not thinking about anyone else. There's nobody else I'm seeking or even thinking about, but this could go that way. And that was powerful to face that it could that could be the turnout. So facing the fear, I guess, and letting it go. And I think, I want to credit Dr. Reverend Michael Beckwith, because he does talk a lot about that, letting go of the fear, being in the moment, just the years and years of all of us being a part of Agape, has really helped us through the years, and raising 2 children. They're in their 20s now. And I will say the fear's lessened, because they're not here. We're not seeing the day-to-day, but there were years.
Where are they? Where are they, at school, or where'd they go?
Both at school, yeah. So
they're both in college.
He's up at Portland State University, and she's in San Luis Obispo at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo.
Yeah.
So, not too far.
Not too far.
She's not too far. Portland is, that's over a 2-hour flight. So
yeah.
How is it being empty nesters? Did you kind of look at each other and go, oh my God, now what are we going to do with all this time?
We did. I wanted to say this before we get into that, is that it's not an easy relationship, meaning any relationship that you have longevity and the closeness and the proximity of. And we've been in a quarantine for 2 years. We've never spent more time together on a day-to-day because we both would go off to various work. He's always gotten up, gotten ready, left the house maybe seven-ish and or 8, and come home at seven-ish, 6, 7. So for 5 days a week, that's how it was from the beginning of our relationship till 2 years ago. So we've never had this kind of like, oh, you're having lunch home, and it's been interesting and different, and we're adjusting, and there's all that newness. But what I want to say is that it has not been without issues and challenges, and
Absolutely.
it's been a roller coaster, and we've rode it together, and we've had our moments of this, and we've had challenges with our children for sure. And the fact that we're here now, it's like
you have survived COVID 2 years. I mean, we are the same way. Joe is usually flying out of town. I'm out with my girls. I got classes going on, women coming in and out, processing all their sadness, men and taking people shopping. And all of a sudden I couldn't do any of it. No speaking, no going into networking. It was crazy. And it isn't easy to be, in the house with a man. He has a very loud voice. So hello, I'd be like, hello. It's the Zoom. It's like the Zoom competition. And we were going through all this stuff, and everybody was like, wow, you guys are still in love. Like, it's a miracle, and working out downstairs and interrupting my flow of my days with when he's gone. So you guys probably went through that too, because Donnie, you work a lot. I mean, and Paige, you're always online doing your vegan stuff. I see you on there, and it's like, wow, do you do that from home? And then you're out in the streets, you're in the grocery store showing bread that people can eat. I mean, I've watched you, it's amazing. So now you finally have this new TV thing that you're doing. So how is that, Donnie? You must be so proud of her,
Oh my God. Yeah, she's doing amazing stuff. And I tell her this all the time because I am home. So I hear her producing the shows, and she's kind of like what you did here with us, she's setting the other, her guest, she sets them up and point your camera this way and make sure when you come on, you're talking like this and you're strong, she's like, she coaches people through it, she's truly kind of stepped into that producer role, and as well as being the host, and so she's hosting people who are, coming on. Yeah, I think she's just, it's amazing. I'm extremely proud of her.
Well, I get to hear things he's doing that I never was privy to. I hear him like just managing so many things, and Donnie's a great manager. I'm a great producer. I think that working together that way is awesome. And it's fun because we get to hear what each other's up to. We get to tap in at lunch and give each other. I like to make him some on occasion. Sometimes I'll make him lunch, but usually I'm producing the show at the same time.
Although sometimes she'll do her show,
yes.
Which if she's the what do you call it? The guest,
yes.
The star, she'll cook something in her show, and so I'll come down and it's like, oh, lunch is ready because she just did her show, and she's got all prepped and prepared, so it's like that works out nicely, actually.
I know it's been pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys got COVID, but when I had it, Joe locked me in a room. I was like locked in there, and he was nursing me, cooking for me. I was like, wow, I don't know if maybe I'll stay in here for a while, And recently he's been home a lot. And so I have been taken it upon myself, if he's on Zooms all day he automates hospitals. So I know that when he's hungry, he's cranky, and couples. So I have all these tips for couples, about staying in sync, and a lot of it is about timing and eating and really watch, because people were fighting. I mean, I've had a lot of couples coaching this whole year. I've saved a lot of marriages, because they're like, he's driving me crazy. I never knew he was so irritating until he's been at home, he's driving me, or she. And it's been fascinating how people actually get closer because they get to see, what their wife or their husband or their partner is up to. And yet, and sometimes they even had more sex. They have had more time, to get connected deeply and with family as well, So that was my teaching during COVID was deeper love. Like, are you going to take it deeper or are you going to hate each other by the end of this? You got two choices, or keeping it in, how to keep it all in balance. So what would be some of your tips that you guys have done during COVID?
Meditating in the morning together.
Oh,
that has been awesome.
Yeah.
So before, we go off to work, which Donnie just changes his slippers or his
my
another
work
pair.
slippers.
And I'll change out of pajamas into something like, leggings and a cute top
from
or
the
something.
top up. Yeah, right.
We were all in pajama bottoms with our tops up.
Which we've learned. Don't want to be where, you want to put something on the bottom too. So just in case you have to get up at a moment's notice. But anyway, so I think the meditation has been awesome. And what were we going to say?
Well, maybe this is more because it's interesting for us, the two things that happen in our lives at the same time. One is COVID and being in quarantine and being together all the time, like you said. And the other is our kids leaving home because they both went away to school, So here we are, empty nesters and finding ourselves, in each other's company all the time. We just started dating again. When the kid, when the kids left, it was like, hey, we can do fun stuff, just the two of us. Before COVID, we had opportunities to go to a concert or go to see a show or something like that, and we still, going out to dinner or going to hike together or, just doing more things together. And so here we are spending a lot of time together. We don't have the kids, distracting us. Maybe that's the wrong word, but we don't have the, taking some of our time, and so it's just the two of us and we're finding ways to date, and have intimacy together. It's nice.
I think that.
And tennis, playing tennis.
I was going to say tennis and hikes. And then the other thing we started doing, which we're going to get back to because we just took a little break, but we started cooking together. Yeah, that was really fun. Yeah. We got this thing called Purple Carrot where everything comes in a box. Send you the plant-based food.
Got that. I always wondered. Well, now you have a vegan version of that, right? It's like I've heard of it.
It's cool because it was, it's something fun to do, to cook, get in the kitchen together and cook together. And
so he got me a great cookbook for Christmas, which we're going to take on one recipe a week. Yeah. Okay. And then I think we should
doing it together though. Doing it together.
Great books that I think it'll be fun to just kind of each one of us pick one and say, okay, what do you want to do this week? And then, one of us does the shopping and, we get everything together and then we pick a date to do that. But the other thing that we're really enjoying is that our son was close by until he just recently moved, but we would go on these fun dates to visit the kids too, which was something to look forward to. We're not there every weekend. We're not helicopter parents, we're giving them their space and we would go up and have lunch with our son in Santa Barbara. And now, just like last weekend, our daughter came and met us in Santa Barbara because that's, a nice semi-halfway point for both of us. So we're enjoying dating our kids in a way, it's like, hey, let's go hang out with our adult kids and do something fun with them.
And they seem to enjoy, like they welcome it. They're not like Paige says, we're not helicopter parents. We're not there every weekend, but we're there frequently. And she welcomes it, like I say, especially our daughter, Caitlin, because she's close. Can't see Bradley as much, although we have a trip planned to Portland at the end of the month. So we're not going to let too much time.
Portland is supposed to be so much fun. I have a friend, Lisa Schneiderman, who, I think through church, moved there and she's doing PR there. And she loves it and got a dog and all of that. And I have a stepson, Joey, and he fell in love. You got to hear this story. All right, this is a crazy story. He was dating a girl. They were having this casual thing between New York and LA, and they were like having a little love thing going on. No commitment. He's like, no commitment. So he comes out here to visit and decides to move here. So he starts seeing her and he keeps saying, no commitment, no commitment. So they went out on one of those little bikes, those zippy bike things, and they got a little drunk and she went under a bridge and she fell forward and broke her jaw. Jeez. And then COVID hit, right? So she had her jaw wired shut and he had to take care of her because he was with her So he lived with her and took care of her, and she couldn't talk and she couldn't eat, and he was making her Slurpees and drinks, and and she lost like 20 pounds. And so they fell in love. They fell in love during that time. And now they're together, and it has been so extraordinary. And you know how, I don't know about you, but when you have a son or a daughter, then you're meeting their potential future person, right? And her and I get along fantastic. So she's in the beauty industry. She's a blog. She does social media for beauty brands all over the world. She's very, very smart. And then they came to Delaware for Christmas. So now we got the merging of the family thing. And it's really extraordinary to be a stepmom, to be a stepmom. And I am not a mom, but I know you guys have been really extraordinary parents. Your kids are so beautiful. And I love the picture I was hoping to get a more recent one, but it's so cute to see you with them as little children on the banner of this show, and to see how they've grown into really amazing people, So I was going to ask one more thing about that, were they influenced by your training, all the training that you've done in expanding your mind and spirits through Agape and all of that through the years?
I think so. I mean, they didn't embrace it the way we did. I think they got it more through osmosis, because it's the way we lived our lives. And so we didn't hit them over the head with it. We introduced them to Agape and to the other trainings that we've done, and they varying levels of interest at different times, I'd say, but I think more so than their direct participation was just how they got it from us. Like I said, I look at them today, and they've both grown and matured, enjoy spending time with us. They're just I don't know. They're good kids. I'm a little biased, I guess, but
well, I have to say, when Bradley recently, there's a few things that he said about you that is just so beautiful, that he admires his dad and hopes to be like him in relationship and as a dad. So I mean, that's the biggest compliment you can ever have. So he's being modest, but the kids absolutely adore him, and I know they adore me, but I know they really adore him. I mean, it's different, it's different. I kind of push the envelope with them. Well, we both do. Yeah. We both do. We both push them in different directions. I wouldn't say push, but just influence them and encourage them. I want to say one thing that I just thought of, which is we've always encouraged the idea that to seek coaching, to seek coaching in everything that you do in order to be, excellent at anything you do, to seek out coaching. So we've always on and off had some kind of relationship coach even. And we've shared that with the kids. We're like, okay, we're going to see our relationship coach. Okay, we're going to see our relationship coach, over the years. And right now we're seeing a relationship coach. We're like, okay, we're empty.
And it would be interesting to know who, because I know a lot of them. There's so many great ones.
It's kind of, I don't think you
private. It's okay.
She's in Portland. So
yeah, she is.
We do it all through Zoom.
But anyway, it's not like this. She actually, this is out of her realm to be with a relationship. She coaches like companies and strategies and that kind of. So anyway, but yeah,
that's all a part of like the way that you run your business when you're working at home really does influence your business, and it made people really have a lot of stress because they're, with the cameras and all that, and all the other stuff. I'm in my bedroom. He's like, do you think you could take the cameras out of the bedroom? But I'm like, this is the only place that I can put the background and so we have like a whole big production company in our bedroom. And then I take it out at night. I literally tear it all down so that it does not influence our space of romance, because no TV in here. So we are really keeping things spicy after all these years too. So what tips do you have about keeping, I think you gave us some earlier, about keeping things spicy and connected? Just wondering.
I just think, for us, the intimacy is always there, so we just enjoy, whether like you say, here we are, we're in the house together all the time. So if it's, passing by, but if there's a hug, there's a kiss, there's a squeeze, there's a, a pat, whatever, to kind of keep things spicy, not just spicy, but intimate. Like I'd always, we don't pass up an opportunity for a quick hug or a squeeze or a kiss, it's like, so.
Yeah, we do the same. It's really interesting because my parents used to do 1, 2, 3 kisses. Like it was never 2, it was 3. So now Joe and I do that. He'll go, you only gave me 2. But when I looked at your mom, now Paige, you just posted something about your beautiful mom's passing. It was her birthday and the way she loved Bob. And then, you have your brother with his family, and Donnie has great family love. So in my experience of coaching thousands of people, usually the core comes from the way they saw their parents love. So it's very important for people that don't have those role models like you guys did to seek out somebody that has that. That's why I love to put couples that are happy to show people, because they go, I don't know anybody that's happy. I said, there's a lot of people that are happy. So if you ever had anyone walk up to you and say, you guys look so happy, how did you meet? Do people ever ask you that? Or,
more when the kids were younger and they would see the 4 of us together roaming around and everything.
We did get that a lot then.
The other thing I wanted to say, so that we got a lot then, but what I wanted to say is that we need to pick this up again. This would be fun. Surprise dates. Not just on like Valentine's Day, he's surprising me, but like we would literally, I'd be like, okay, I'm surprising you. And we would drive down to the beach, pull out the picnic blanket and watch the sunset and have snacks, or have like a, that was one thing, or it started very early. Donnie surprised me with a beautiful, a vacation away, or the gondolas in Venice, not Venice, but Long Beach, these, because we were going to Venice for a second honeymoon. So, things like that keep that spiciness of, just because you've been married for all these years, or you've been together, doesn't mean you can't put on something pretty or dress, put on a pretty, nice looking sweater and go out, even if it's somewhere local, just to make it like you're on a date. Like it's not.
I like surprise dates too. That is great advice for all of you men and women out there. And even Valentine's Day, Joe and I don't like going out on Valentine's Day. I do like a whole big thing. I have I keep them upstairs, and I have these, I have these little hearts. I bought a whole new set, and I put them up in the living room with lights. And then I have a dinner and I wear something cute. And it's like a whole ritual evening where I spoil him like he's the king of the house, and it's really fun. And I like fish. So you don't eat fish either? No, you don't eat fish. Oh, well, I was going to say I make the best sea bass in the world, and Joe loves my sea bass. So I cook him his favorite things, and I dress in his favorite things, and I just spoil him. And I think that a lot of people lose that, and it's very important to do. And you guys just exemplify love. And I remember on your wedding day, what a joy it was to be there as part of, we did dancing, and was that a wedding of a wedding of a wedding? It's just one of the things we do too, is we look at our wedding video to remember that.
Yes. We did that. Yeah.
Yeah. Over the years.
I could see you guys doing that. I would love to come and see that, because I brought my friend Scott, which everybody thought I was going to marry, and whatever. Even my own father wanted me to marry Scott. I'm like, Daddy, he likes boys and girls. So no, we're not going to do that, And he goes, you could switch him. I know you could. My grandmother goes, is he gay, or does he like girls? Does he like men? Because he used to come to my house for Christmas, And if you ever read my book, Get Real About Love, there's a story of him being there when I was single and getting interrogated by my family. And they were trying to push him off on me, like that I could switch him into being not gay, So it's just so crazy, the things that happen. And I know that day was just such a special day. And I'm just so grateful for you to share these secrets. So if you ever see Donnie and Paige on the street, you should stop them and ask them. So one of the tips that I have for singles is if they see a couple that has extraordinary like energy between them, you should go over and ask, how did you meet? You know, because people are sad, you know, because they are isolated, and it's hard to flirt when you can't smile at somebody, you know. So I'm coming out with the new Flirting with Life book, which is my tips on flirting. And even Pat Finn from your friend Pat invited me to teach one of his classes on how to flirt. And he said that 60% of the people got results within 3 days of using my techniques. And he was so excited. So he's been helping, you know, to promote those classes as well. So you guys exemplify love. I call it, when I was meditating and praying, as you know, we learned so much through Reverend Michael. And I don't know if you know this, but I had been praying for Joe. I visioned him. Actually, I want to show you. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but I teach vision board classes, right? So if you look at this, this was my vision of Joe before I met him.
Picture of Joe.
That's not Joe. And
Wow.
This was a picture of Buddy before I met Buddy. And this is the picture of my bed, and my house has a tree right outside the window. And this was 3 years before I met Joe and then Buddy. And all of these visions have come true. So I always tell couples, we like to do visioning. I have a vision board that has sections with my family, sections for my health, section for my business, and then sections for, you know, projects and love. So it's really cool. As a couple, sometimes I created one for us, you know, a couple of years ago, and it's downstairs. I didn't know I was going to talk about this, but I just wanted you to see, because Paige, you knew me when I was single, and for me to have put this together. And then right around the time I put this together, Reverend Michael, I was in the choir, and I was walking through the hall, and he was going to the restroom at the same time. And he turns around and he says, guess what? And I said, what? He said, your husband is coming. And I'm like, and then he runs in the bathroom, and I'm waiting outside of the bathroom. I'm like, don't you leave me hanging like this. And I said, when? And he goes, don't worry, he'll show up. And then I met him a few months later, and I brought him to church, and I introduced him to Reverend Michael, and he comes up and whispers in my ear, that's him. That's him. Joe didn't. I go, don't tell him, because he doesn't want to ever get married again. And he just goes like, oh, forget that. That's him. So it's just such a beautiful thing to see a spiritual couple stay together for 25 years. And I thank you for all your joy. You can feel their joy, their love across the airwaves here. So you should check Paige out. Where can they find all of their stuff that you're doing about being vegan? I'd like you to add.
My social media, which is Paige Parsons Roach, and Unchained TV. So it's Unchained, you know, Unchained TV. You can go to unchainedtv.com, streaming services on Roku, your phone. You can get the app, or, you know, lots of streaming, Samsung TVs and Amazon streaming and so forth.
So you are doing that whole Roku TV thing, and it's going well for you. That is fantastic, because I've been offered that, and who knows, I may do that as well. But I'm so honored that you came to share your love story. You guys are so beautiful. And so anybody out there, if you are looking for love in all the wrong places, just know that there is extraordinary love for you to be had. And I would highly recommend that you pick up this book. Have you ever read this book, Paige?
You know, I remember when you gave me a copy, I still have it, and I've gone like this through it. But yeah,
gotta look at it, because it's really cool. And I mean, for people that you know, it really helps you to look at, and you did have a beautiful family and great role models of love. I did too. I mean, my parents were pretty great role models, but there was a lot of cheating and infidelity weaved into the generations of my family that kind of influenced me, like to have the half and half thing, like Donnie did, even though I wasn't married. And of course, Mario, the guy that broke my heart during the time I think I was around you guys. I did call him, by the way, and told him that he was in my book. And I thought he was going to like die when I called him. You know how you have to complete relationships as a partisan. Yeah. Well, he was one of the last of my Mohicans, because there was men I hurt, and as you're going through pains and hurts through your love life, if you don't heal those things, like Donnie had time to think and reflect, and then he opened his heart again to love, but many people block their heart. So if you have that problem, I am definitely the person to call. And I even admit my own blocks in my own book, and people that read it, they're like, I feel like I know you. And I'm like, well, why not? Like what you're doing with the vegan world is your story of how you changed, and to unchain the animals and to free up, them from being hurt and destroyed and killed to feed us or whatever. Because I've watched some of it. It becomes whatever you're doing, that's your passion, becomes an influence to other people that might need your help. And so mine is love and to heal broken hearts by inspiring stories like yours. So I think that you can feel their love, and I'm so grateful for you sharing your love. And we can't wait to have you come. One of the things that we did during COVID, and I'd advise this for people, even though people are still a little restricted, I wanted people to feel safe in my house. So we had patio parties. And and people were like, I can't come into your house. I can't. This was in the beginning. So I had patio parties, and now it's become kind of a thing. People call and they're like, are we going to have salmon Sunday on your patio? So make rituals for yourself so that you can invite people into your space safely and still stay connected. And I just am so grateful that you guys are sharing your love story. So thank you so much for being here. And any final words?
Final thing, and that is when my mother was married twice before she met her final amazing husband. My father, they divorced when I was 5, and then she was married for 10 years to another man, and that was tumultuous. So what I want to say is I was coming into a relationship that I thought if I got married, I would cheat. That's what I thought. And then I did my own personal work. So what I want to say to those people that feel they're broken, because I thought I was broken, I didn't think I could hold a successful relationship. I thought for sure I would fail. I just want to say it was, the third marriage for my mom that lasted over 25 years. That was the one that really kind of felt like the true love, the commitment. I saw them work things out. So I did have a multitude of examples. Meanwhile, Donnie's parents were married for over 50 years. And, they were loved. They never, when his mother passed away, his father never remarried. They were like true love forever. So I just wanted to say, if anybody out there is feeling like, well, you had good examples. Well, there was a lot of broken cheating going on in mine. And now I feel like we were able to come together and heal those wounds and those.
They don't get past. If you ever get a chance, anyone that's watching, I'll put it on the link. I did a TEDx about that, about the power of your love lineage. So your love will now get passed to your children and break that pattern of the fear of infidelity, so it will perpetuate through generations, which is super powerful. And that's going to be my next book. So I'll have to call you about your story for the book too, because there's so many people that had unfaithful parents or grandparents or whatever. And my grandmother's sisters, so they let loose in the book. My grandmother, I interviewed her with Scott, was the reason that she answered these questions at 88 years old about all of her cheating husbands. And then it went down. So I went and did a whole investigation of my whole family, and you wouldn't believe the stories that I heard. Oh my God. And they all have been married like 3 or 4 times. My aunts were all married many, many times, and they used to judge me. And I'm like, judge not, and ye shall not be judged, because I wanted to hold out for someone special. And I'm so grateful, like you, that you held out for Donnie. I held out for Joe. And now we get to show people that love does work. Yay. So happy Valentine's Day to you. And this will be a wonderful interview to inspire other people. So if you have comments, I will put Paige's information right below this video, so you can see her Unchained on what is it called? Unchained TV. That is so exciting. What is it?
And Plant-Based in the Burbs is our cooking
Plant-Based in the Burbs. Wow.
Plants
Well, you should send me all of that, and I'll put all the links up so that people can find you and watch you. And Donnie, thank you for being so raw and real with us here on Get Real About Love. because these are real love stories to inspire you to find and to experience true love. So happy Valentine's Day to anybody that's watching, and happy Valentine's Day to you. And come over for one of our porch dinners one night very soon. It can't be this weekend, but very soon, because we're going to be here for a while. Okay. So, or come visit us in Las Vegas. That would be really fun. We have a house there, a house in Delaware, and we're all over the place spreading the love. So come and visit, and then we can talk about more, have more memories to make together.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Love you
Renee.
so much. Thanks, Renee, for the opportunity. Thanks for watching.
I love you guys. Happy Valentine's Day. Bye-bye. I'm going to go feed my husband now. Bye-bye. Love works, baby. Love works. Bye.